that look good, feel good, do good, it translates to your work.
Put on a nice outfit and you'll feel better. Like there's actual science behind that. That t-shirt that Mark Zuckerberg wears is $600.
No
it's
way.
A custom t-shirt.
Way.
It's a custom t-shirt from Brunello Cucinelli.
Matt Bards, welcome to Sky's the Limit podcast. Thank you so much for coming up from Brantford.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate that. So I got to ask, your fashion, personal branding, which we're going to get into. How many different jackets and shirt combinations did you try on before you came on the show?
Yeah, so I'm definitely... I was thinking about what I was going to wear when I came here. I was thinking, all right, I'm talking to you. We're talking kind of like a real estate podcast. I probably want to go casual. So I tried on maybe 4 or 5 different outfits. And then I was literally driving up here and I'm like, this was a mistake. And I literally pulled into, Rebel Dog Coffee and switched out my outfit like right before I pulled in here because I had this outfit and I was like, all right, you know what? I gotta step it up. I gotta, make sure I represent that personal brand story. So yeah, I tried to go a little bit more casual, but then it was just like, nah, I gotta do me. I gotta be,
I gotcha. Yeah, it's so funny. So I'm a full-time real estate agent, and my partner and I do investing, and obviously host the podcast here. And depending on who our audience is, even when I'm like showing houses. So if I'm showing houses and you do this like without even thinking, like subconsciously, you just do this. So you're showing houses in West Hartford, Connecticut, and I'm showing 800-900, sometimes $1 million homes. I'm wearing something similar to what you are. And that's just how I want to represent myself. However, I also show houses in, some pretty rough areas in, let's say, Bristol or New Britain. Yeah. And they're $200,000-$300,000 houses. I don't want to show up in a nice jacket and shirt, because then it's like, okay, well, how are people perceiving you? So that's what I really want to get into today, is like dressing to how people perceive you. And obviously you dress well and you make really nice clothing. So I'd love to hear about how you started Bards. You guys are located down in Stamford, and love to hear just a quick bio and your story and where you are today.
Yeah, located in Brantford.
Yeah. Brantford. What'd I say?
Stanford.
Brantford, Stanford.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe we'll get a second location and put it in Stanford. That's where the money is. Yeah, so I've been in retail for probably 14, 15 years now, and started at Express and the mall. I didn't really know anything about it. But as I started to work there, I started to realize that I like this whole talking to people and figuring out what they want the clothing for. So I moved from there to Joseph A. Bank, and that was, buy one, get 4 free. It was just like a nightmare of product and sales. Yep. But I was like, still, it's very interesting that I'm meeting these people and they're telling me who they are, what they want. Like I started to get better clientele, lawyers and politicians and whoever else. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. So then I moved from there to a boutique store in West Hartford, and I was working there. And then that's what really kind of opened my mind to like what people are willing to pay and like what they are willing to pay for, At Express and Joseph A. Bank, it was very much like a means to an end. Like, I need a suit for work. But then when I was at this boutique store, I started to work with a much higher clientele. And they're like, I need to look good so I can inspire my thousands of employees to rise to the occasion. It was like this whole new level of what their personal brand and personal representation meant. It was so awesome to be like, oh, wow. Like, so the one common denominator between, a kid needing a suit for his junior prom and a VC needing a suit for some huge deal he's about to make, they all just need clothing and they need to represent something. So that's the tether, is that people want to tell a story with their clothing. So once I saw that was the common denominator, I was like, okay, so that's the need that people need to be able to represent themselves. And as I saw in 2020 is when I started, June 2020. And I was sitting back in quarantine, we're watching the news and you're just seeing all this stuff about, small businesses closing, people dying, your family, your friends. You were scared about everybody around you. And I had worked in the small business community for about 4 years at that point. I became very attached to this whole concept of shop local, support local, this very transparent supply chain that the local economy has. And so I saw like a deep like passion in me. And then I saw a need of like, well, people are always going to need clothing. So why don't I connect the two? So I started looking for clothing that was made in America. And that way I could kind of combine everything and it could be your story tailored with clothing made in America. Yeah. So it would just hit all the right notes.
That's awesome.
And my why is just like, then I also was always so interested in like, who are you? Like, what's your story? And I'm always fascinated by people's personal stories. Like it blows my mind when people tell me about themselves and what they are hoping to achieve, what they've overcome, what they question, what they think they know, like everything. And the way that I can understand more about you is that we can sit down. I can say, well, what are you looking for? You'll tell me everything about yourself. And then at the end, I can make clothing for you and say like, okay, well, if you're a realtor who wants to sell like, multi-million-dollar homes, you're going to wear this outfit. If you're a realtor who wants to sell multifamilies in inner cities, like this is what you want to wear. So your desires, your hopes, your dreams are going to dictate what clothing you wear, as you alluded to before.
100%.
So it was very much just like, how do I get to your personal story and make clothing for it?
Right. No, that's amazing. Congrats. And so you're down in Brantford now. You have the one store. Is there a plan to open up a couple more in the near future? What's your ultimate goal?
Yeah, actually, I've been on the road for 3 years, meaning I just had like a suitcase of fabrics. Yeah. I would drive to my clients. And I've got clients in upstate New York. I was just in Jersey this past weekend, like driving to people. And it was very nice. I got the opportunity to open up a showroom in Brantford, and it's in a house, and the house turned commercial. Yep. Where the first floor is Muse Bridal. They do all custom wedding gowns, and I'm on the second floor. So it's a match made in heaven. Perfect. And then I recently got the opportunity, and this is still in development, but I am excited about it. So I'm going to talk about it. That one of the only woolen textile mills in the country is actually located in Stafford Springs, Connecticut. Okay. And I have a good relationship with the owner, and he actually proposed this idea. Why don't I have a showroom at the mill? That way people could come, get measured at the mill. He could distribute his fabric. I'll make it into clothing. So It was a very cool, like the smallest carbon footprint, like made in America story that we had. And
that's so cool.
Yeah. I'm so fired up about this. And one thing that I love the most is that he's from, he lived in Italy for a while. He's from England, and he came here, he bought the mill like a decade ago, and he's like really done a lot of amazing things with it. And then I was also born in Honduras. And so like these two guys who are not born here are doing everything in their power to bring back clothing made in America, whether it's the wool, whether it's the manufacturing, something. Like I love that story. I think that speaks so much to the American story and the American dream of just like coming here and like using the connections with each other. And like, it's not just about the final product, it's about the story that pushes it forward.
Yeah. I'm a really big firm believer in look good, feel good, do good. Even it's dating back to like high school, going into an exam. High school you wear sweats, you wear whatever you want. But then I distinctly remember dressing, like putting on a nicer dress shirt, maybe some dress pants when I went to go take an exam, because that look good, feel good, do good, it translates to your work. Yeah. Right? It really does. So if someone's listening to this and they're they're at their, corporate job, whatever, and they are thinking about branching out on your own. How important is it if you're starting your own business in growing your own brand how important is it to dress well and present yourself? Do you think, I mean, at a scale of 1 to 10, like how important is it in relation to everything else?
I think that this question is so important because it's so much bigger than people really give it credit. So on that note, it's a 10. It's a 10 of importance. What people need to do is they need to understand what it is they're trying to say, what it is they're trying to accomplish. So there is a know your audience. Look good, feel good doesn't mean get up and wear a suit every day.
Right.
It's have something of value, like have values, wear your values. Like to me, shopping local, supporting made in America manufacturing, like that's a value of mine. Like what's a store, what's a product that I care about so much that I'm willing to invest my money because I made my money with time of my life. So that's a very big exchange that I'm willing to give you my money. So it's something that I value. So all of my clothing, my hoodies, my underwear, my socks, my shoes, my jeans, made in America.
Really?
Absolutely. Everything.
That's wild.
Absolutely everything. So that way, even on my off days, even on my casual days, like I'm about to go on a ski trip this coming weekend.
Where are you going?
Going up to upstate New York, and it's looking like it's going to be 60 degrees.
Okay.
So our guys' ski trip might turn into a guys just hang out.
Yeah.
We'll figure something out. But I have my bags packed with 3 pairs of jeans made in Nashville. I've got my hoodies that are made in Maine. I've got my t-shirts that are made in Detroit. I've got, but I'm just packing my clothing. It doesn't I'm not thinking about I've got my American made jeans. I'm just thinking about no matter where I am, if I'm at work or if I'm off, I'm on and I feel good.
Yeah.
And I feel important.
Yeah.
And I value myself. So to your point about is it important to invest in your look and look good, feel good? It is, but not just when you think it matters. It's all the time.
And that's the thing is if you are building your own brand or starting out and branching out on your own, there's going to be a lot of times where you see people outside of work, and how do you want them to look at you?
Yeah.
You're at you just say you're at you're at Stop and Shop, or you're at the, grocery store, whatever, and you're running into clients left and right, and you're like, okay, if you're in baggy sweats and I'm buying $400 shirts from this guy and he's wearing sweatpants, how does that make your brand look?
Yeah.
Right? If me as a realtor, if I'm out, I'm out at a restaurant with my fiance and, I'm in, baggy, not loose fitting clothing, and it's, nicer restaurant. Well, how's, is this guy, do I really want him to represent me in buying $1 million house? Probably not.
Absolutely. Because it shows that you are willing to put in the work.
Right.
That bottom line, if I only see you dressing well when you feel like you have to, then it's okay, so this guy only does what he's supposed to do when he's told.
Right.
That so what? The rest of the time you're slacking, you're not caring. If you show up every single day, because every single day you have to get up and get dressed. Doesn't matter what you are. If you're a CEO or a janitor, you have to do that. So it's the one thing that we all have in common.
Yeah.
And you get to look at your wardrobe and make a choice. What do I want to do? Do I want to, reach into my laundry bin and be like, oh, okay, well, the shirt doesn't smell that bad. And I'm not going to see anybody.
I'll flip it inside out.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever. Are you going to make a choice? Because you're telling your brain also that you're okay just kind of lowering your standards.
Right.
It's not just for motivation. It's actual biology. Your brain starts to say well, you're okay with these kind of mediocre decisions.
I would equate it to taking off your shoes before going into your house. If you don't take off your shoes, and whether this is right or wrong, I don't know. But for me, me and my fiance in our house, she gets on me every time I forget to take off our shoes. And you think about it, if your house is messy and you have people over and it's dirty everywhere, like what is the likelihood or chance of them to also just leave glasses out or leave chips everywhere? But like if you have a clean, pristine house or you're dressed well, it's like, okay, I'm not, one, if I dress well, I feel good about myself and I can present myself in a better way. But also, too, if you have a clean house, like people are not going to have a tendency to leave shit around.
Yeah.
And so, get up, make your bed every morning and then, keep yourself well groomed and then, put on a nice shirt that, then you can go out and represent yourself for the day.
That reminds me, there's a great quote from Tom Ford, an amazing designer. And he said, dressing well is a form of good manners. It makes you take the eyes off yourself. I don't care that your day is dressed casual. I don't care that, you don't feel like it because you're not seeing any clients. Like, you are still going to go out into the world and people have to look at you. I feel like it's a public service. I'm just like, okay, well, like I can do this little tiny thing to look good.
Yeah.
And people, maybe they give me a compliment, maybe they don't. It's not for me. But if they feel good enough to say something, then that's a kindness to another human being. And even if it's just like I'm in jeans and a t-shirt that actually fit and they look nice and the t-shirt says something nice or something, people can be like, oh, like he put in the effort because he's here. I
also think it can translate to a lot of mental illness where maybe some people are being bullied at school or shy or, whatever have you. And if they put in a little effort to dress well, maybe they'll get a compliment, and then that's going to boost their ego so much, which gives them the confidence to, present themselves in a way that they never thought was possible. Yeah, all just from what they're wearing. Yeah, and it sounds crazy to think about, but we've seen it happen.
Yeah, and there's actual science behind that. That if you're in a bad mood, just while you're out, just fake it, like smile at somebody random, say something nice to somebody. And when they give you a compliment back, your brain receives it as a genuine hit of dopamine, and it actually alters your mood. Like this is science. It's not something like, just pretend, put on a nice outfit and you'll feel better. Like there's actual science behind that. Like if you get up and you put on that outfit, you're telling your brain that you deserve better, that you're going to do better. And how you do something is how you do everything. So if you're just waiting for the occasion for somebody to tell you to look nice, well, then you're going to wait for the occasion to do good work. You're going to wait for the occasion to compliment your fiance. You're going to wait for the occasion. But if you constantly show up and say, I'm doing this for me and I'm doing this for other people, then you're going to do that for everything. Your work, your relationship, your family.
Translates
it absolutely does.
No, you're absolutely right. What are your thoughts on simplifying your wardrobe? And I'll give you two examples. If you look at Mark Zuckerberg or you look at Elon Musk, they're strictly jeans and like a t-shirt kind of guy. So I think I don't know what side I'm on. I believe in like what we're talking about and looking good, feeling good, doing good, and presenting yourself in a in a well manner. On the other hand, that takes time and effort. In Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk, they would say, well, that's just too much time. I wear the same white tee or the same, I have 4 different colors of t-shirts and jeans, and that's what I wear every day. I don't want to think about what's going to color match and what looks good. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I get this one all the time, especially from clients who are just like, well, Elon Musk and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, there's a couple answers to this. First of all, that t-shirt that Mark Zuckerberg wears is $600.
No way.
It's a custom t-shirt from Brunello Cucinelli. Look it up. It's true.
That's insane.
$600 t-shirt. Yep. So yeah. Oh, it's so simple. Like, okay, sure. So that's
that thing must feel like butter on his skin.
It's awesome. Yeah, so that's one, dressing, but that's back to the other point, is that dressing well isn't just suit and tie.
Yeah, you're right.
It's the little things. If that's his version of dressing well. To that point, you're not a tech billionaire.
No, I'm not.
So your reason for dressing is different. You would not sell houses in Greenwich in a t-shirt, even if it was $600 or not.
Why do you think he buys this $600? Like, I don't obviously know that much about him, but it just seems excessive to wear a $600 t-shirt. Like, do you think anyone knows the difference between that t-shirt and a $100 t-shirt from, I mean, you probably know all the brands. So from Tom Ford, maybe, I don't know.
But that also relates back to our other point that it's not just about the dressing, it's about internal.
So he thinks by wearing a $600 t-shirt, I can get up on stage and I can own that.
Yep.
Versus maybe if I was wearing, and that sounds so stupid when you put it out in the universe, but obviously the dude's killing it.
Yeah, you're doing something for you. There's a thing where you don't get to that level of being a billionaire without some level of like I'm awesome. You know, like I'm up here and you're down there. You know, even if it's literally on stage or just looking at the actual economy, there's a part of it where it's like pushing yourself forward. It's a validation. And I think that's what it comes down to the t-shirt. So on that point, you know, these tech billionaires, that's their whole world is very binary. It's numbers, it's ones and zeros, it's t-shirts and this, it's dark t-shirts, dark colors. And I get that they don't want to make decisions. You know, he's probably got 100 of that same t-shirt.
Right.
So it's just like, fill my wardrobe with that. To the same point, I would feel horrible if I wore a t-shirt every day. Like I would feel incomplete. I would not look good. And nobody would buy custom suits and custom sport coats and custom dresses from a designer who only wore a t-shirt.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't serve my purpose. My purpose is, in my story, is to show people that you can be expressive, that you can do more, that you can live more, that you can achieve more with your personal style. So I have to show that. I have to live that. I have to have people connect with that. Like I love when people tell me like, oh, well, you know, you could wear that, but I can't. So I'm like, okay, well, what can you wear? Mm-hmm. So seeing a no is actually going to help you better get to a yes. I'm sure in real estate, you see this all the time. You see all these houses and it's like, well, no, I don't want this. No, I don't want that. And it just makes the yes so much better.
It makes it stand out.
It's the same thing with clothing. Like, look at what you don't want to wear and hone in on what you do want to wear.
Right.
So finding that. So I think that the Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg thing gets brought up all the time because people just love looking for an excuse.
Right.
It's lazy. It's a lazy argument where people are like, well, here's this billionaire who wears this. Like, okay. Are you a billionaire? No.
Also, did you know he's wearing a $600
Yeah, exactly.
That's
you know,
insane.
there's so many little parts about that where I just think it's when you break it down, it's actually irrelevant.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening to Sky's the Limit podcast. We're always releasing new content, so if there's something you want to hear, be sure to comment below. And don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And just remember, sky's the limit, dive deep, and invest in how you want to live.